Hello, we are uEmpower. I'm Harshita.
I'm Aadya.
I'm Ayushi.
Today we will be interviewing Ms.Storey, the Associate Director of Structural Analysis in Aircraft Interiors at Collins Aerospace, which is under Raytheon Technologies.
So, our first question is, what was your major in college and what inspired you to follow this path in aerospace engineering?
So my major in college was mechanical engineering. I went to a school in Florida called Florida Institute of Technology. It was a smaller engineering school that was hands-on, so I really appreciated that, the small classroom environment, doing actual physical projects to support the class. And what got me interested, and part of the reason I selected a smaller college, was in high school, I did first robotics. So you have so many weeks to design and build a robot and then compete. And then also there was a group of classes called Project Lead the Way, or PLTW, that was created by a group of engineers to get young men and women interested in engineering. And it was everything from biomedical to mechanical to aerospace. It was a wide range of classes you could take to learn about engineering fundamentals and even some more specialized, I'll call it, topics in engineering. So taking those classes in high school along with first robotics really got me interested in engineering. So
That's very cool.
So, can you please explain what exactly aerospace engineering consists of? So I would say aerospace engineering and mechanical engineering are very similar, and I'm going to talk about it from the university perspective. So when I went to school, the key fundamental they teach you, and you really don't realize it till you get out of school and you're in the real world working, is problem solving. All your classes teach you fundamentals and the basics of how to problem solve, whether it's researching through books, researching through resources around you. Like I said, the key focus is problem solving. Because if you're given a problem, even if you don't have the answer, if you have the right resources or enough knowledge to find the resources, you will be successful. Anything from, I would say, aerospace engineering or mechanical, because that's my background. A lot of the university focus for me and what I think has helped me excel in my career currently has been around projects that are team focused. So we were given a senior design project in Mechanical Engineering 101, the first class you took about mechanical engineering. You had a freshman design project, physics class and chemistry class. There were a lot of lab-based projects, and or you had to even design your own lab to support execution of your project for your grade. So everything in whole for aerospace and mechanical engineering is around problem solving. If you create a good foundation there, I think you'll be very successful.
That's cool to know because actually, when we interviewed someone else working in healthcare, they said the same thing about like a team environment, that they would be given projects where they would have something to solve, a problem-solving aspect, but mainly just working as a team was their main goal.
As I say, a lot of projects for your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, PhD, they like to put you with individuals you do not know, who you've never met before from day one. You'll walk into the class and they will say, here's a team of 8 people or 4 people, go execute this project together, because it allows you to work with a wide range of people you necessarily don't know their background, from, we'll call it, the schooling side to their personal background, their family history, their culture, and each person works a little bit different, and those different personalities coming together, I say, can create challenges and can create opportunities too, for each person in a different way. So that also, I think, helps drive people to be very successful, those team projects.
Yeah, working with a wide variety of people must be very important, especially in this type of setting. So, can you tell us a little bit about your position as the Associate Director of Structural Analysis?
Yep. So I'm going to give you a little bit more background than where I started. So my background is mechanical engineering. When I did an intern for a company, and that was acoustics engineering. I worked at Boeing before I came to Collins Aerospace in aircraft seating and aircraft modifications. So we did updates to older aircrafts to make them look newer or refreshed. And then from there, that brought me to Collins Aerospace because I actually worked in seating at Boeing. And while I was here, I was what's called a PE, a project engineer. So I supported from the design side with respect to, I'll call it, the physical drawings, actually physically designing the product. Then I transitioned to be called what's a EPL, an engineering project lead. So that person helped with respect to the design, but didn't physically design. We supported managing the project from the customer side. So the customer would say, I want this product to look slightly different based off what you currently have. And I'd work with the team to say, yes, we can do it, or no, here's the reason we can't, but this is how we'd recommend implementing instead. So I did that for 5 years, and then I transitioned to become the associate director of FEA, which is out of my field of background. I'm not an FEA analyst by trade. It is a new area for me, which was a bit, I'll say, intimidating coming in because I did not have the foundation of FEA. But I saw it as an opportunity in the sense of I got to support engineers that are currently in the team with career development, which is something I really enjoy. I got to support the company with respect to strategy. So within the FEA department right now, we're not just doing dynamic analysis. We've added structural analysis. We're also looking at adding static analysis. So I'm helping the company continue to grow its capabilities with respect to strategy. And then I call it the engineers that do the hard work behind me. They're the ones helping execute that strategy. And then also, as a whole, I'm here to support the team, the engineers behind me, with whatever their needs are, whether it's something at home or something in the office, because if you're not successful at home, you're obviously not going to be successful in the office. It's an equal balance. And then also, like I kind of said, not even just team execution or business strategy execution for our team, but a holistic view of where the business is going. I get to help sit in those meetings and kind of provide feedback and input based off the capabilities of our team and where we think we could continue to help the business grow. So,
That's amazing. We can see how the teamwork aspect and even business and consulting and like customer service aspect comes into one.
yes. So I don't do much, I'll call it direct aircraft customer interface, like Swiss, Lufthansa, United Airlines, Delta, and that's where my background was for the last almost 10 years. So this has stepped out, and now my focus as a customer is my team, to making sure they can continue to grow in their career, or if they have tasks or things they want to implement and execute, I'm there to help them with respect to that. So.
One of your most important projects that you were a part of in Collins Aerospace or Boeing?
So one of the projects here, and you can actually Google it because it's now public knowledge. When I was a project engineer, I supported it from the design side, and then I was an EPL. I supported it from the customer side. So I kind of lived with the life of the project. The customer was called Cathay, and the product, like I said, you can Google it, is called AirS. So it was a business class product. We designed the furniture. So when you're in the seat and you look forward, there's usually a big piece of furniture in front of you that sometimes has galley carts. It will have monitors for the attendants to adjust the lights. It'll have cubbies so they can put coats and emergency equipment and linens in it. So that was the largest furniture unit we had ever built as a business for seating. It was full height, so it was from floor to ceiling, and there were two, one on the left and the right of the aircraft, and it weighed 400 and something pounds, so it was quite large, especially to get it through the aircraft door. And then the seat was something new and novel. We were trying to certify the seat with an airbag in front of you. So when you're in the seat seated and you would go down the sled, or if unfortunately the aircraft had crash condition, there would be an airbag that would deploy just like your car to help protect you. So we did, I'll say, many months and probably hundreds of development tests with another supplier to have success with that airbag. Unfortunately, as a business, we did have to divert or change plans and go to just a traditional like car seatbelt, a 3-point shoulder harness. So I think the challenge that we faced along the way was, as a business, you shared with your customer a product you wanted to execute. In the contract, there was we've never done this before. It's new and novel. There's new industry requirements. We cannot guarantee we will be able to deliver with an airbag, but we are going to try and work to that commitment. And if not, we will make an adjustment to a 3-point shoulder harness. We did have to share, and as an EPL, and then I worked with the program manager, we did have to share that we were going through that transition away from the airbag to the 3-point shoulder harness. So that was a challenge, because obviously a customer never wants to hear their original thought or their process or their product is going to be modified. And then also, I think one of the challenges that was really tough for me is, how do you share bad news, but put it in a positive light so that they want to accept it? So that was my first experience sharing bad news to a customer and trying to influence them to see it on the positive side of things. So
I think that's a really important lesson, like learning how to give bad news in a way that is not so bad, because it's something I'm still learning, and I'm sure like all three of us are. So I think that was really important.
yeah. And I always call it bad news. Even though there's bad news, you tell a customer your product can't be, we'll call it dark green. It needs to be one shade different. To them, that is a big impact because they have a vision. And when you have to alter their vision in any way, even though it's, one shade different, to them, it can be detrimental. So you have to say the positive side, it blends better with, or the light will reflect, or try and show them the positive side of a small change that's coming. So
what skills or courses do you feel are necessary to build and work on to learn to reach this position?
So I'll break it into the two items. I'll start with skills first. So for me, I think getting to the role I'm in and kind of my whole career, I think being self-motivated. If I see a challenge, someone puts it in front of me, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to try and tackle it. One thing I've had to focus on for myself is sometimes taking a step back and evaluating that ask or that request and making sure there's no, I'll call it possible better solution, alternate solution, or we fully vetted it. So kind of taking a step back, evaluating, making sure I create a strategy before I execute. And that strategy may take 1 hour, it may take 1 week. And it's just making sure the individuals around me that have asked that request understand I need to sit and evaluate. So being very self-motivated is positive, but sometimes it can be a negative, and there's opportunity there. I've learned that one. With respect to skills, collaboration, kind of that same thing. Whether it's your direct peers in line with you, the people that support you, my employees, or people above me, senior leaders and executive leaders, I think making sure I have clear communication and I collaborate with them when asked, or if I see an opportunity, speaking up and sharing some thoughts, because you never know how those, I'll call it collaborative events, or those conversations will support you in your career journey through sponsors, which is a sponsor is someone that is supporting you or advocating for you and you don't even realize it, to your direct mentors who you meet with, maybe it's once a week, once a month, every quarter, to individuals that you sit in a weekly or monthly meeting with just because it's about a project or it's about strategy and execution. So collaboration, I think, is really key, because you never know how individuals around you will help you in your career. And then also skills. I had a hard time writing this one, but if you want to go into management, one thing you really need to make sure you enjoy and you get satisfaction out of supporting others reaching their goals. Because I'm helping the business as a whole with respect to project execution, but a large bit of my focus is around my employees and making sure if they want to work towards a promotion, if they want to go on a different career track, from FEA to FLAM, or it could be as simple as something as going to take an online learning course about a topic. I'm there to help them navigate that so they can be successful in whatever that journey is. So, and then courses, for me, over the last 2 years, I have really focused on communication with respect to clarity. So the way I would speak to a customer, name an airline or Boeing or Airbus, is a bit different than how I provide information up to leadership. It needs to be a little bit more clear and concise. I call it the 2-sentence description to inform them so they can make the right decision. Whereas a customer wants, a 10-page presentation of all the options, all the opportunities, and why something can or cannot be done. So it's just tailoring information with respect to communication. That has been the, I'll say, biggest hurdle for me over the last year, is learning how to relay messages to different groups, because a lot of the information we've been sharing with respect to business strategy is up to our executive level, the VPs, and that is very different than talking to the managers right next to me. So, and the information they want to see. And then the other thing that I've actually done a little bit of research on as I've become an associate director is strategy development. So how to create a business plan. I'd never created a formal business plan before, but in order for us as a business to venture into fatigue analysis or static analysis, I had to create a business plan of where we wanted the work to be, why it should be there, what type of tools, what type of people, what type of resources, the monetary value behind it. So the other one that I actually the positive thing is the internet can teach you a lot of things, positive and negative, was a business strategy, how to develop a business plan. So I did some independent research there, whereas communication actually took some formal training on that. So,
and I feel like those are skills that should be used in like almost every career in management.
Speaking of your career journey, how do you think that gender stereotypes have impacted your career, especially since you work in engineering, which is a male-dominated field?
Yep, I do agree. Engineering is a more male-dominated field. Also, the university I went to, I think the ratio was for every 7 males, there was 1 female, somewhere approximately there in my time in the university. So I think for me personally, that motivates me to stand out. What does stand out mean? Whether if I have an idea, making sure that I don't just sit quiet in a room, that I do speak up, which sometimes is hard, especially when I'll say you're the youngest in the room, or maybe you're the only female, or it's not your area of expertise. Like FEA isn't my area of expertise, but I've learned to make sure that I say, hey, I have an idea. What do you think about this? Also, I think too, clear and concise communication has helped me a lot. Like I said, I've taken probably 2 or 3 trainings since I've been here at Collins Aerospace. My mentor and my current manager have influenced me to say, if you're clear with your communication and very concise, you can influence people, and that influence will help you grow in your career. And I truly believe that, looking around me, for all different genders and all different backgrounds of people. And then they say anybody can work hard and everybody tries to work hard. But to me, hard work means not just sitting in a corner, putting your head down in a keyboard, working away and hitting all your deliverables. Hard work also, to me, encompasses making sure, we'll call it management or the peers around you, visually see that hard work. Because if you just tuck yourself in a corner and never look up, people won't recognize your hard work. So it's making sure that hard work is shared, whether it's we have what's called a war board, a walk around review. So it's a review of work, whether it's shared with your direct manager or your mentor, so people can speak about that hard work you've done. So it's making sure that hard work is visible to the people around you. And another thing I think too that has helped me in my career with respect to, I'll call it a dominant area where it's more males in engineering than females, is finding mentors and making sure you stay in contact with them, whether they're males or females. I don't think it really matters, but they can help influence you in your career. They can help advocate for you in your career and give you advice and guidance that you may not necessarily know about, being, I'll call it, younger or newer in an area. So.
Yeah, our teachers and people in other areas that we have been part of, like organizations or clubs, they've definitely emphasized how important communication is in like public speaking, especially when you're working with a diverse variety of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to ask, what is one challenge you face in your career, and how did you combat this obstacle?
Yeah, so like I shared earlier, one of my challenges for myself with respect to my personal skills is I'm very proactive. So if someone asks for me to do something, I will, like I said, jump and try and execute as quickly as possible. So the biggest thing as I become an associate director is making sure I take a step back, because even though someone that's more senior than me, a director or a technical fellow, asks me to do something, my boss always tries to remind me it's okay to digest the information, to set out and lay out a strategy and ask questions. So if they create a problem statement and you don't necessarily agree with that problem statement, even though they're an executive or a senior, it's okay to ask questions or challenge that problem statement to make sure it has the biggest value for your, we'll call it, area of the business. So right now it would be FEA, or if you were a design engineer, whatever your role and responsibility is, to make sure it has the biggest value. Because sometimes that person asking you or defining that problem statement doesn't have the full background of your role and responsibility for your team. And they may be missing a small point or a small piece of information that could have a big impact to, we'll call it, the success of your output. So for me, that has been, I'll say, one of the bigger challenges overall for me in my career field. So.
That's actually really interesting, because we heard the same thing from someone who works in finance. She said that her main way to stand out was just like be proactive in any type of setting. Whenever she was in a meeting, whether it was with her seniors or anything like that, she would always state her opinion and digest all the information.
Yeah, I attended a leadership conference in February this year, and one of the public speakers, one of the things they said is when you're sitting in a room, whether you're the youngest one or the most senior or the least experienced or the most experienced, whatever range of thoughts you have running through your head, there's others sitting in that room thinking the same thing. And if you have a question, there's probably a few other people in the room that have the exact same question or have an idea. There's probably others sitting in the room that are maybe a little bit timid also to share an idea. So continue to find the right time to speak up, because then that creates that opportunity of visibility, that opportunity of strategy, and sometimes we'll call it the hard work with respect to making yourself known. So
Yeah, like Harshita said, this is a message that we've heard in like many of our previous interviews, that just like being in a meeting room, even if you don't know the whole like subject or anything, the ideas that you have, if you present them with confidence, just doing that, like it makes people regard you with so much respect, and like it actually engages you to learn more and grow from where you are currently. So what program skill workshops do you know of or recommend for young girls to maybe learn more about this area?
Yep. So like I mentioned, first robotics, I shared that I did that. I started first robotics my I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think they call it your freshman year or your first year in high school. And I wasn't sure if I was into engineering and how much. I wasn't sure how much I was into robotics. So I was actually part of the support team, the team that helped with travel logistics, understanding the rules, making sure parts were in on time, parts were ordered, building the shipping box. So pretty much engineering centric items, but not design engineering. And as the season went, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I want to actually support and help build and make things. That seems exciting. So robotics, there's a wide range. People can support finance, people can support logistics, people can support engineering, from electrical to mechanical. I mean, there's a wide range of opportunities there with respect to the statement of robotics. And they have it for high schoolers, but then they also have, I should know the whole family of items, but they have Lego robotics, which is for younger kids. And there's another family of robotics, which is for elementary students. I think it starts at 5th grade. So anybody that has a slight interest, I always say, look into it. The time commitment is your decision. You can spend 1 hour a week to, 20 hours a week. There's a wide range of opportunity there. The other classes I took in high school, and it is taught at different schools around the United States, is Project Lead the Way, so PLTW. I took a biomechanical. I took just like mechanical engineering 101. I'm trying to remember one of the classes I took, but we learned about hydroponics, i.e. plants, with respect to engineering and water systems. So there's a wide range of classes you can take. There's computer engineering. We did projects from mousetrap cars to 3D printing, like I said, to hydroponic gardens, building widgets, building a chair out of cardboard, and seeing how much weight each chair could hold. So small little projects like that to teach you about building materials and structures. And I truly believe, even if it's not an engineering class, but summer camps, such as anything pertaining to games. I know in elementary school, they have the mathematic games where it's like different blocks and you move it, or things oriented around math. I'll call it those critical thinking skills, or the strategy-based games, I think help people in engineering. Craft class, as weird as this is, my hobby is golf and crafting. So I make cards, I do scrapbooking, I do things with photos. I think that creative side of me helps with brainstorming solutions in our design environment. So I think there's a wide range of things, from, we'll call it more formal education in school to summer camps such as crafting, games, art, pottery, that type of thing, that help people come up with creative solutions and brainstorming and problem solving. So.
That's really cool. It reminded me of a project that I did back in 5th grade. So we had to build like a machine kind of thing to drop an egg, and then the egg wasn't supposed to break.
Yeah.
And even though I failed at making that, it was definitely like a really cool experience. And like you said, it taught like creative problem solving and like just like problem solving in general, like how to work with a team and things like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, one of the projects that stood out to me, and this is kind of the creative side of me, like I said, I like crafting, was we had to do a mousetrap car. So there was 2 competitions. You had your mousetrap, and your car had to go X distance was one challenge. And the other challenge, you could make one modification to have it go as far as possible. So you're competing against your class, and me being me. And I'm like, okay, if I'm allowed to make one modification, if I take a mouse trap and have it connected to a rat trap, which is even bigger, it should go further, and the mouse trap should go the exact distance. And so problem solving like that. And like I said, I'm a creative person. I was like, I don't want it just to be boring, CD wheels, or we'll call it Lego wheels. So what did I do? Obviously I had Barbies. A lot of us did growing up. So I took the Barbie pink convertible car, cut the top off, and that's what I built my mousetrap car on. So little fun things like that, just kind of thinking outside the box. So you're authentically yourself, you're creative, it's unique, it kind of shows your individuality and your personality. So anyway, you can always do that and have fun with projects. I'm a big advocate for. So.
And finally, do you have any other advice that you would like to give to our audience?
Yep. So I think one thing becoming an associate director that stood out to me a lot is at a conference, like I said, I attended in February. So I think coming out of school or being in school, I've viewed success as large achievements. So you graduated high school, that's an achievement. You graduated college, that's an achievement. In college, I did rowing, I did crew. You competed a race and you took first place, third place, whatever it was, that was a large achievement. But sometimes I think this role has taught me to kind of step back and evaluate small things that necessarily aren't measured by major achievements. And they kind of defined it as keep your eyes out for small raindrops, because those raindrops can be major growth items in your career and also major successes, but they don't feel like it because it wasn't graduating college, some huge milestone. But all these small little raindrops end up creating, puddles and lakes and rivers, which can be those big major milestones. So I think for myself, advice, I've tried to really reflect on what I'm learning each day and how these small, I'll call it thank you for help or small accomplishment and task, how it ends up to the big picture, because I think that's overlooked a lot. And then also, I think another really important thing that the conference always shared, and I've struggled with a little bit, is my boss would say, hey, here's 10 goals I want you to achieve. It's okay to say, I need help completing those goals. Employee A, can you support this one? And employee B, can you support this? And I have the other 6. In other words, asking for help. You will not, and this was what came from the conference, you will not be successful if you don't have others support you with respect to sharing the workload, because then that doesn't allow time for you to focus on strategy and to help innovate. And innovation and strategy kind of helps move you forward in your career. If you're always focused on a task or an execution-based item, you don't have bandwidth to innovate. And that innovating, for me in my career, I think has helped with respect to career growth. So
that's amazing. The way that, obviously, I feel like it's been said a lot in this interview was innovation, teamwork, and communication. So I feel like those are like 3 big pillars that you use in your everyday work.
Yeah, I'm still, like I said, I probably 3 months ago, I took a course on communication and training. I did a refresher. It was only 1 day, whereas the first one was 5 days on communication. Like I said, I think that really drives success of people, because if you can share your message clearly, and I'm still learning every day, then you can influence people. When you can influence people, you can help them with respect to decisions you want to make for your career or decisions you want the business to make. So
this concludes our interview. Thank you guys for watching this interview with Ms. Storey. And thank you, Ms. Storey, for educating us on your position as the Associate Director of Structural Analysis at Collins.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.